This is the Get To Free Press, and I'm George Boston Rhines. When I think about what happened to me May 25th, 2013, following the death of Kendrick Johnson, when I was placed under criminal trespass without violating any law, and no government agency in the United States of America will remove me from this criminal trespass after 4 years and 7 months. The government in America looks very ugly to this retired military veteran. And this is what I want you to look at and think about. This is really ugly. When anybody from Moody Air Force Base, Valdosta State University, Georgia Military College, Wiregrass Technical College, visitors from Wild Adventures Theme Park, person just traveling through Valdosta and Lowndes County can be stopped and told and placed under criminal trespass without violating any law. And after 4 years and 7 months, no member of city, county government, no judge in the Southern judiciary system, no district attorney, no sheriff, no chief of police locally, nobody will even look into a disgraceful act by an upright, retired military veteran that served during the Vietnam War. To all active duty, disabled, retired military veterans, this could very well happen to you. And nobody in the state of Georgia, nobody in the United States of America will even say we're going to investigate, or we're going to have the Valdosta Daily Times, the only newspaper in this metro city, to at least report this disgraceful story to the general public. Nobody will call on WALB out of Albany or ABC out of Tallahassee TV stations, or WCTV right here in Valdosta, Georgia. They won't even publish it to the people here in the hometown of the active duty military personnel and all these students who parents trust them to come here, and won't nobody say a word about it. And so I have a video here that a friend of mine on Facebook sent to me, and I want to share it with you this evening. We got to see just how ugly our government treat black African American people once they serve their 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 20 or 30 years of military service. And when they get out, they treat them worse than dirt. They treat them worse than dirt. As a honorably discharged military veteran, I say to you, active duty, you better look at the image that's on this camera. Because today, it was me. Tomorrow, it will be you. And in years and decades to come, it will be your children and grandchildren. White America, white America, white America. You are not exempt, because they can do the same thing to you. And you don't have to violate any law. Because I violated no law. Yet, they did this to me just like they did Nadia Tinsdale in Dawson County, Georgia, up in Dawsonville. And she's a Caucasian female, a people's journalist, just like myself. But when they start doing this to the judges' children, the police chief's children, the sheriff's children and grandchildren, to the elected officials' children, to the mayor's children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, to the Lowndes County commissioners, chairman, and the people, the commissioners on, when they start happening to their children, school board superintendent and school board's members, then you may become concerned and say, it is a disgrace what they're doing. Lowndes County school superintendent, the members of the Lowndes County school representative elected by the people. When this start happening to your children, then maybe you'll go to the Valdosta Daily Times and ask the editor, why is it that you all refuse to publish anything about a disgraceful criminal trespass following the death of Kendrick Johnson at Lowndes County High School? Yeah. It's ugly. It's really ugly. Extremely ugly. And I'm going to continue to say it, not for me. I'm going to continue to say it for your children and coming generations. And why do I do that? Because I love you just that much. I love you and I love your children. You would not do what I do if you did not love somebody outside of yourself. Now, the individual that sent this to Facebook to me this evening is the reason why I made this video. And now I'm going to record it because I want you to hear the rest of the story. I may pause it, I may talk in between, but all I want you to know is the truth, because St. John 8:32 says, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set and make you free. I'm asking you to sit back, watch, listen, and see how they have treated others, you see. This is why the Bible says, God say, if you suffer with me, then you can reign with me. I want you to see how this man talk about what the American government has done to people of a darker hue. Not in Afghanistan, not in Iran, not in Pakistan and Tajikistan, but right here where we stand in the state of Georgia. Hear ye, O Israel, if you can. Greetings. I'm George Boston Rhymes with the Get To Free Press, and I want you to watch this video, or listen to it more so than watch it. This was posted less than a month on Facebook, and it has 978,379 views. That means whether your local newspaper and television stations and radio want you to know this or not, social media is getting the word out about what is happening to Black Americans and what they have to go through, even if your news media won't report it. And I have this fella here to show you that what our military personnel of Black African American descent, this is what this government must look like when you serve your country and you have to go through what we are about to watch here. And you have to keep in mind my criminal trespass that I just posted at the beginning of this video. Let's sit back, let's listen to this real world situation in a Black African American community.
As a kid, I thought, if only I was born 30 years sooner, I might have been able to leave a real impact on the world. I was enamored by things like the Civil Rights Movement, the South African Apartheid struggle, and other international movements for independence from European colonialism. But I was taught that freedom fighting was a thing of the past. Having overcome Jim Crow segregation, this country had finally realized its promise of liberty and justice for all. However, being born in Los Angeles, California, in a community commonly referred to as South Central, I had a front row seat to one of the most infamous incidents of police brutality in this nation's history. The savage beating of Mr. Rodney King. At 8 years old, I didn't understand what I was seeing.
Now, isn't that sad? Rodney King, back in the day, now this police officer gonna shoot this black man down dead. And we hear people now talking about sexual harassment. CNN, MSNBC is filling the nightly news up. They did not give equal coverage of what black folk has been going through for all these years. And it's really time for black folk and white people to understand that God is not going to allow this to continue. Oh, no, 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 no. Make no mistake about it. It will come to an end. This government of America began to look real ugly. Real ugly. Not only here in America, but around the world. And then the news media going to ignore the black news in the black community. Now let's get back on point.
Why were cops allowed to beat this man so mercilessly? Wasn't it their job to protect and serve? Didn't our nation have laws to prevent such behavior? About 2 weeks later, 5 miles from my childhood home in Lamert Park, a 15-year-old black girl named Latasha Harlan was shot in the back of the head by a liquor store owner who suspected her of shoplifting. Being raised in a gang culture, had grown accustomed to violence, so the murder of Latasha and the beating of Mr. King weren't completely unsettling. But I was also familiar with the concept of crime and punishment. In fact, the criminal justice system had managed to incarcerate for a period of time every adult male figure that I knew, and more than a few of the kids I knew as well. So when the courts determined that the cops involved in the beating of Rodney King had committed no crime, and that the woman who murdered Latasha Harlan would never see the inside of a cell, I was overwhelmed with the sting of injustice. Over the years, I've grown intimately familiar with that feeling, as most of us have. Far from any illusion of liberty and justice for all, our nation boasts the deadliest police culture in the modern world. There is no nation that kills and incarcerates more of its citizens, period.
No nation in the world. And we proclaim to be a land of the free, equal opportunity, etc., etc. Wake up, Marines, Navy, Air Force, Army, and other branches of the armed forces. Why do you continue to join a military unit and you don't have rights that are guaranteed by the white Constitution as they have set forth in that high prestigious document? We as a people had better wake up to the realities of now. Wake up, black man, black woman, black children, and white right people of America.
This reality is buttressed by a judicial system that is neither blind nor just.
Look how they're doing this black girl. This is not even a black woman, a black girl. Now, don't you think that the white Christians, the white Muslims, the white Ashkenazi Jews, and black people in general should be outraged? Can we call ourselves human beings and see this? And we don't become outraged? I'm not talking about through violence. I'm talking about through real godly love. Black men, when you lay hands on a black woman with everything that she has been through, you need to be put in prison. The black woman has suffered so much and received so little even at the hands of black folk. This is a disgrace, black man, black woman. This is a disgrace before the world. And what gets me is how our black military veterans and active duty people and personnel can just not get involved in their government. Some will not even vote. I'm sorry, y'all excuse me.
Decades of research have shown emphatically our criminal justice systems allow whites to quite literally get away with murder, particularly when their victims are black. And conversely, our courts jail, sentence, and even put to death blacks and Latinos at rates some double, some triple those of our white counterparts. I wasn't born during the Civil Rights era.
It's a sad day, black man. You served in Vietnam, you served in Germany, you served in Japan, you served in the Revolutionary War and all wars of this nation. But make no mistake about it, God is still in control. And you need to teach your children that though we suffer and though we die, by the blood of the Lamb we shall overcome. God said, I have no respect of persons. For what I say unto one, I say unto all. And what is that? You're going to reap exactly what you have sown. The wicked will not escape the wrath of the God of our ancestors. They will never get away. Black, white, Jew, Gentile, you won't get away, man. You can't redeem yourself. So it's best that you change and repent to help save yourself and your children from the destruction that God will bring upon you. We cannot fight our enemies, for God has decreed to the black man through our ancestors. That's why Dr. King did what he did. He said, if you hold your peace, I will fight your battle. You don't need to arm yourself with guns. That's the way of the wicked. God promised through the stem of old man Jesse and King David that vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And he said that he would pay every man according to his works.
I was born in 1983. I was born in a nation infatuated with guns and violence. A nation whose schools are falling desperately behind the international standard, more pathetically so in the inner city. I was born in a country where a woman's white neighbor could choke her black 8-year-old son and not even be charged with a crime. Where a cop responding to the incident could belittle, assault, and arrest that same woman and her teenage daughters and remain on the force. A country where a police officer can aim his rifle at a car full of teenage boys headed home, posing no threat to anyone, and unload multiple rounds taking the life of a 15-year-old and remain free. While a 15-year-old accused of stealing a backpack is incarcerated in the worst conditions imaginable for over 3 years without ever facing trial. A nation where a 20-year-old could be pummeled with pipes, blunt objects by neo-Nazis and Confederates feet away from a police station and no arrest be made. Where a young man cutting lawns in his own neighborhood could be mauled by police dogs and tasered. I was born to take on these very real, very relevant, very contemporary fights for freedom to show others how to do the same. This is our era. This is it. This is our time to seek justice together. It's on us now. And the struggle is ever as urgent, ever as monumental, ever as crucial as any struggle before. As a kid, I thought, if only I was born 30 years sooner, I might have been able to leave a real impact on the world.
And this is why I do what I do, because I have already left an impact on the world. I have taken on the liars by the grace of the eternal God of our salvation. I have stepped up to the plate, and I reported on the Madison 9 in Florida, the Quitman 10+2 in Quitman, Georgia, Linda Harris in Meigs, Georgia, Rufus Davis in Camilla, Georgia, Charles Gibson, mayor in Lumpkin, Georgia, Christopher Wright in Dawson, Georgia, Bentley Clayton County near Atlanta, taking on the challenge there. I've gone to Warrington, Georgia with Mayor George Ivey. Around through Sparta, Georgia and Hancock County, and watched the police officers through the New York Times talk about how black people had choked the police to come to their homes and ask for their deeds to get a right to vote. I've been to Broxton, Georgia, Douglas, Georgia, Willacoochee, Georgia, Gordon, Georgia, with Mayor Ann Whippaloot, Waycross, Georgia, Homerville, Georgia, and other places that I can't recall right off the top of my head. But what I have done, I have shown to the people who wants to know that the white-dominated, white-controlled, and white-owned newspapers ignores the news in the black community. And I have proven that over and over again. Just a few days ago, I received notification of Nydia Tisdale up in Dawson County, Donaldsonville, Georgia. She, like myself, is a public journalist. In other words, we report what they don't want you to know. And just like this video, people now are beginning to come out boldly to show the world what America is all about. We once believed that America was the home of the free.
I was enamored by things like the
and the brave, but we found out that it's just a game being played on the minds and masses of the people. And so I want to say to you, in closing, that America, America, America. Do you think that the black man, woman, and their children will continue to fight your wars, and you cannot even grant them the right to vote? You look ugly, America. You look ugly, man. Looking real ugly before the world, man. Don't think that God will forever allow you to get away with what you're doing. God said in Galatians 6:7, "For God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man sow, that shall he also reap." We even watch on nightly news how the news on TV is mostly all white. They'll put one weak black man on the channel and several black women, but The black men on CNN. Every morning you can go to CNN, you can go to MSNBC and watch. See how many black men do you see talking on the world stage about the affairs and the issues around the world. That too is a disgrace. But in the end, truth, right, and justice will win. God is getting ready right now to bring young people up to continue in this struggle. Our young boys and girls now, they lied to us yesterday about freedom, justice, and equality, and the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. But today, young black men, women, and their children, they see America for what she is. You can't lie no more. Black man, black woman. Look what they're doing to your daughters, man. Look what they're doing to your daughters, man. Look what they're doing to your sons, man. Look what they're doing to your great-grandchildren. Look what they're doing, man. And so I ask a question. Why should the black man join the armed forces when they treat us like this? Now, don't get angry. Wait a minute. Don't be angry. Don't get angry and do something stupid. But let the people know that God is still in control. And pray for these wicked white people. Pray for these wicked black folk, the Uncle Toms and Aunt Jane. Pray that God will not distribute his punishment too hard upon them, because it is coming. But pray for them, because God said in St. Matthew 24:35, he made it so plain that even a fool couldn't miss it. He said that heaven and earth would pass away, but my word will stand forever.
While a 15-year-old accused of stealing a backpack is incarcerated in the worst conditions imaginable for over 3 years without ever facing trial. A nation where a 20-year-old could be pummeled.
That's your face, America. America, you don't look good, man. You don't look good, America. You just don't look good, man. To the veterans who fought your wars, man. You don't look good, man.
Police dogs and tasing. I was born to take on these very real, very relevant, very contemporary fights for freedom to show others how to do the same. This is our era. This is it. This is our time to seek justice together. It's on us now. And the struggle is ever as urgent, ever as monumental, ever as crucial as any struggle before.
Don't be silent, white right people. Don't be silent, white Christians, Muslims, Jews, Hindu, Buddhists, and others. Don't be silent. Stand up if you say you believe in the God of creation. Stand up, because in the end, truth, right, and justice don't win anyway. Black man, black woman, don't give up hope. But I will say this to you. See America for what she is, and be not deceived when a person tell you that they are Christian, that they are a Muslim, that they are a Jew, or that they are Hindu, or that they are Buddhist, or that they are you. But they don't have fruits falling from their trees that you can eat and that will give you nutrients such as love, joy, peace, long-suffering, temperance. These attributes. And don't criticize President Trump either. Please don't criticize him. But you have a right to criticize the tree of Trump. In other words, if Trump tree does not possess those quality fruits that will give your body and your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and coming generations the nutrients that they need that will produce life, then stay away from that tree if it does not produce those fruits. And if the Trump tree shows and produces hatred, discrimination, hearsay, envy, jealousy, bigotry, death, hell, and destruction, then judge a tree by the fruit it bears. Always remember that. There is no reason for anybody at this dispensation to be deceived by lying white folk, or lying black folk, or lying Germans, Japanese, Russians, or anyone else. Just because they say they believe in God, watch the fruits that fall from their tree. Be not deceived. The Bible says that. Be not deceived. Don't let them fool you, man. For God is not mocked. For whatsoever man or woman sow, that shall he also reap. I will now close by giving you Joel, the 2nd chapter and 1st verse, which says, blow ye the trumpet in Zion, sound an alarm in my holy mountains. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, and is nigh at hand. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Blow ye the trumpet. In other words, when the white dominated, owned, and controlled newspapers will not publish your story, don't live in fear, for God did not give his people the spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. Do you fear death? Death is nothing but an entrance way to the great beyond and a resting place where all the holy prophets, priests, and kings strived and worked to arrive on that location. So why should you be fearful of that which was promised to us? For we know through our ancestors, the promise is, as Jesus, the Messiah, as many believe, was resurrected on the 3rd day morning. And this is why some of us cannot, must not, will not remain silent while Satan take over this country and while they destroy the Constitution, while they destroy the rights and the voices of the people, whether they be black, white, German. Look, if the blacks were in control, and if they didn't have white people on news in equal proportion, when I get up in the morning to watch TV, I would fight for white people just like I fight today for black people. I would. And my white friends know this. And what can we say? What can we say? But blessed are the meek, and blessed are the pure in spirit, for they shall see God. Bye-bye. Go. This is the Get To Free Press, and we report what others ignore. This is your First Amendment right to know without whiteouts from a controlled news media whiteout network. And we are located in Valdosta, Georgia, and we are here to inform, educate, and persuade if necessary. Always keep that in mind. Moreover, I want to say to you that as a community, state, nation, and world, we are not who we claim to be, but who we prove ourselves to be over a given period of time. And if we are a liar, time will tell. And if we are a racist or a hater, time will tell. And our righteous and Holy God already know. So you are only fooling yourselves. Again, the Ghetto Free Press. I'm George Foster Rhymes.